Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew podcasting network. And this is my weekly show where my guest and I play a bit of movie roulette and pick a random film from my obscenely large, ridiculous random watch list, and you never know what we're gonna get. Thanks, Forrest Gump. But joining me on this episode is our fearless leader here on the SPM Crew. It is Mike Hilty.
That's me. Hello.
That is you, indeed. And we're here to talk about Gate of Hell. And this is a Japanese samurai film released October 31st, 1953. So happy Halloween. Runtime of just 86 minutes. It made $500,000 in the US, directed by Konosuke Inugasa, and based on Tessa's Husband, a play by Kan Kikuchi, filmed with Eastman color, which we'll certainly talk about the colors in
Mhm.
this film. This is the first color Japanese film to be released outside of Japan.
Hmm.
This won Best Costume Design and Best Foreign Language Film at the 27th Academy Awards and won the grand prize at the 1954 Cannes Film Festival. So this was a pretty lauded film for the time. And a samurai pursues a married lady in waiting. And
That's
that is the
that's it.
synopsis.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And starring uh Machiko Kyo and Kazuo Hasagawa and Isao Yamagata. And Mike, what are your general thoughts on Gate of Hell?
You know what's funny about this is that in our last episode where we talked about pirate movies and how
Yes.
Hollywood traditionally struggles with pirate movies. You know what Hollywood doesn't struggle with? Samurai movies. Because samurai movies, there's tons of them out there and a lot of them they're great. They're really good. Even my favorite segment of Predator Killer of Killers was the samurai one,
Oh,
right?
so good.
And it's because that there's something about samurai culture and even expanding upon that Japanese culture that is
Yep.
steeped in things like tradition and honor and
Mm.
different things like that that it just it comes across so well in any of these movies, including this one.
Mm.
This one has for the most part, a pretty straightforward plot. And it's 86 minutes, so like
Mm.
there's not a whole lot happening in this, but there's still intrigue with it. I thought the performances were great. That costume Oscar, yeah, like definitely deserved it for that.
Oh
Um,
my God.
and I don't know, like this is one where to me this feels like if anybody is looking to like dip their toes into foreign movies, this would be one that I would be like, try this one. This one's pretty non-committal. So like if someone's looking to dip their toes and they want something that, fairly easy to understand and, pretty straightforward plot and it's short, give this one a crack.
Yes, first off, costumes, the pinks, the blues, the oranges, the greens, they're just so rich.
Mhm.
And the Eastman color of this is rich and textured. Like we were just talking about Adventures of Robin Hood on another episode of a different show we were recording. That's ah, like it's so bright. This is like rich and textured in a way that feels so tangible and gorgeous to look at. And they capture Japan so beautifully as well, the
Mhm.
greens of everything and the blue skies. I think this does a great job of capturing Japanese culture of this like
Mhm.
medieval time of, samurai and
Mhm.
shoguns. And like obviously Japanese culture has such a big impact. Like Shogun became an enormous show. The original Shogun was another enormous show. And, if I had to pick any country cinema that I love the most outside of the United States,
Japan's
it's
pretty
Japan.
high up there.
It's like all of these, like the Kobayashis, the Kurosawas, um, all of
Ghibli.
them, and then all the anime, um,
Mhm.
the Miyazaki, the Satoshi Kon, and like all of those different creators, and something like this has a simple plot. It's also saucy
Oh, it
in
is
terms
very
of
soft.
like
I will give you that. Yes.
in because like if you want something intriguing where it's just like, oh, we got a love triangle here and tragic one at
Mhm.
that. And like this has such like that Japanese kind of honor ending that brings a tragedy to the forefront. And over the course of 86 minutes, you get this morality tale, and you have this man who saves this woman, and he believes that he is owed something, this connection, but she's already married, she's betrothed, and like, does his saving her life trump this commitment she already has to her husband? And
No, no, it does
in
not.
in
That's
his head is the problem.
well, isn't that isn't that just a tale as old as time where somebody empower like samurais, they're nobility. So they do have a bit of power and a bit of sway. So just like any noble or knighted
Yeah.
group of individuals, um, there's going to be a little bit of that entitlement and think that because they did something that there needs to be some recognition in some way to like reward that, which is interesting because that's somewhat subverting that expectation about what it means to be, not like quite a gentleman, but in that there's just nobility and just doing the right thing. And I
Well,
feel like
and
at first that's what's going through his head, and then yeah, the rest of the
well,
movie happens.
and that's a challenging thing too. And what makes this conflict so complex is this balance of honor and what what is tradition
Mhm.
versus this commitment and what's the right thing, because I don't think the main character in this ever really thinks about what's the right thing to do.
No, of course not.
It's always what does he feel like he's owed based off of this code.
Mhm.
And you know there's surprising amount of agency that
Mhm.
this woman takes on by committing this final act that she does, where
Mhm.
she's like, I'm not leaving this in any of these men's court. I'm doing it my way.
Mhm.
Hugh Frank. Um, and it's her the final moments of her presence in this film is like so my way coded, because she's like, I'm gonna go out how I'm gonna go out, and I'm not letting you get the upper hand here or anything like that. And it's one of those things where like I don't think this would happen in an American film. I feel like
No,
it's a very,
no.
very like this feels like a Japanese kind of thing. It's like I would rather die than dishonor. And it has that powerful kind of thing. And this is one of those films where it's 86 minutes and it's a lot of build up. It's a lot of
Mhm.
build up to this specific thing happening. And I think it's one of those films that I felt like watching it, I appreciated and connected more in hindsight than a lot of the watching through. And I think it takes the very end of the story to recontextualize the journey that you go on and just realize how important everything was along the way. But like, I'm not surprised. Well, one, I'm definitely not surprised this won that costume design Oscar. Um, I'm in hindsight, I'm not surprised that this won Best Foreign Language Film either. I think it has a very powerful. It's one of those films that just like nails the ending, where
Mhm.
it's so powerful that it really reinforces and lifts the rest of the film. But otherwise, there's a lot of I think the performances are strong. I think especially the three of them are really committed to these performances. But I
Mhm.
guess for you, Mike, was there anything else that really stood out to you?
Um, I mean, the not really because I thought the performances were all really good from your three main characters. Um, from a plot standpoint, the story, like we mentioned before, it is pretty basic, but also thematically what it's talking about with that balance of honor and duty versus, thinking about what you want. And also you mentioned like the samurai code and what he thinks is deserved, but also that code is perverted a little bit as well because underneath the armor is is just a dude who, you know, can easily be corrupted, unfortunately. And
It's a
I
dude
think
thinking with his dick.
yep,
It's
uh,
just
tale as old as time, true as it can be. That is what at the end of the day, Mrs. Potts should have sang about is, you know, dude singing with his dick, ever just the
that is
same.
indeed the oldest tale of time when it comes to men is don't think with your dick. Think
Right.
about think
Hmm.
and feel. Just don't think, well, I saved her. I deserve to have a bit of that. Just
Right.
like, no, man, relax. And, you know, this has tragic consequences. And I appreciate the film didn't pull punches. Like, is it melodramatic that it went to this length? But like that, I feel like that is like Japanese cinema is like, we're gonna go big. And I appreciate that about it.
Yeah. I think most impressive to me about this is that it won the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival. Given, with all due respect to Japan's place in the world in the 50s,
Mhm.
um, that's still pretty impressive, and gotta give it a lot of credit for that because I'm looking at all the other movies that were up for like the top prize at the Film Festival in 1954. There's a lot of movies in here. There's a lot of movies that like I've never heard of, but there's a good collection of movies, and for this to stand out, I think is pretty incredible considering that there was only like a handful of like only three movies from Japan selected for the film festival. So got to give it a lot of credit for that.
There's only five Japanese films to ever win the Palme d'Or
Hmm.
or the grand prize. This was the first, and then Kagemusha in 1980, The Ballad of Narayama in 83, The Eel in 97, and Shoplifters in 2018,
Wow.
which I do recall Shoplifters and
Hmm.
that making a big impact.
Hmm.
But good for Japan.
Yeah, good for that. And also considering that the time that this came out and how what this is saying about power and
Mhm.
just this just a very feudal code and different things like that. Given Japan's place in the world, it also feels like a timely message as well.
Well, and also like even more on like the gender politics and the level of that personal level of like this man thinking that like he has any kind of ownership over this woman because he saved her life.
Yeah,
And it's just like
well, I think you said it before about how this ending would have never made it into a film in the United States. Probably not until way later. And even then it would have been controversial. And I'm assuming like I feel pretty confident in saying that the ending in this for Japanese culture would be like, yeah, okay,
she did the honorable thing. She will
sure,
not let her honor be disgraced by this man.
sure.
And you know, it's a one of those kinds of romantic tragedies that's dropped in this samurai film, and I loved it a lot, and it's a really impressive film, and it keeps reinforcing how much I love Japanese cinema from this time period, and specifically stories from this time period of Japanese
Mhm.
history. And there's so many more to enjoy, and I
Yeah,
love just checking them off my watch list.
I keep thinking, would I have a different opinion about this if it was in black and white? Because I
It's
think
interesting.
what stands out a lot about this is the way that it looks. It just pops from a color standpoint. And you mentioned that this was the first Japanese film to be in color in the US. So
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I'm sure cinematically that was probably like very impressive to watch on the big screen. Um,
absolutely.
so so yeah, like technically beautiful and also just culturally relevant. A lot of great themes and messages, and performances are great. Yeah, just this is one that I'm glad I got to check off my watch list as well.
Absolutely. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Yeah, thanks for picking a random movie and allowing me to explore movies that I normally wouldn't seek out on my own. So appreciate you for that.
And thank all of you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite film of Japanese cinema, and maybe specifically of this era in Japanese history with samurai films? And make sure to follow or subscribe if you ever listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew podcasting network is ever expanding. We have so many great shows with all different types of interests, especially movies. If you love movies, got plenty of those. And if you want to be a guest on a show quite like this one specifically, or any of the others, or you want to start your own podcast and want somewhere to start it, make sure to reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.